Well,
Give it like a little squeak. Jerry goes well. He goes.
Despiser.
Despiser. Yes.
Despiser.
Yeah, we just finished watching Despiser. For me, this was my third watch through of this movie.
How fortunate.
I know, I'm blessed. I bought it on
Immersed
DVD.
in the culture.
You asked the most questions about that movie than anyone else here, and you've seen it 3 times, so.
Yeah, that's because like every time
Leaves
you
you
watch
wanting
it, yeah, it leaves you wanting more.
You can't go over the lore in one
Despiser lore.
No, there's a ton of
I
Despiser.
bet you there's a Wikipedia page.
If there's not, you know what we gotta do. But yeah, we just finished watching Despiser. And before we start talking about it, I just want to thank everyone that left a movie suggestion on my Facebook last time. I've added them to a list, and we'll maybe get to them eventually. We'll see. I haven't...
Yeah.
Did you leave a suggestion?
No.
Despiser is a movie about a man who has nothing, who risks everything to feel something.
I know you're just like BSing here, but
that kind
actually,
is.
yeah.
Actually, yeah.
The movie starts. So our main character's name is Gordon, right? And he works at a graphic design place. And like literally the first thing we see about him is he gets fired from his job at the graphic design place.
Yeah, which if you see the designs he makes, it's no wonder where it's like
Word
weird
art and MS Paint.
word art MS Paint of like muscly dudes with power tools and like,
It's, like, bloody,
lightning and bloody.
I feel like if we're going to talk about Despiser, you can't begin without first acknowledging the star of the movie, which is the incredible CGI. Starts off right off the bat with it, and it just doesn't let up. It's
With like a blue Ford Focus from the 90s,
Yes.
pulling up a World War I veteran, a cowboy, and a woman get out of
And
a
a
car.
woman,
And a woman.
and the kamikaze pilot.
And the kamikaze pilot, they get out. They're at like a Resident Evil level looking church. All nice, like, you know, PlayStation 1 polygon looking. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they kill the Shadow Priest in there. And if it's confusing, don't worry, because they're not going to explain it until the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Like when we started watching the movie, I saw the begin, like the title card and the opening credits, and I saw the movie start, and I still felt like I'd missed things. And this is my third viewing of this film, so there's a lot of weirdness.
There's a lot of lore, and it's kind of hard for just, a plebeian to understand.
Is this some sort of peasant joke that I'm too rich to understand?
So yeah, it's about a guy who gets sent to Purgatory when he swerves his car to avoid hitting 2 children trying to cross in the middle of a freeway on a bridge
in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, it
Washington,
was so
DC.
weird, because like, where were those kids going? On the other side of the bridge, apparently.
But he sacrificed himself for them, and as we learned from the movie, if you sacrifice yourself for someone, you get sent to Purgatory.
Not heaven, not heaven.
No.
Yeah,
So
that might, as noble as that might be, you're in purgatory.
That's the
bub.
reward.
There's 2 kinds of people here. Troubled ones, the ragmen. Most of them get enslaved by the Despiser or the Shadow Man. And there's the ones who are like my boys, strong. They got inner strength. Best I can figure is they all sacrificed their lives for somebody. That's why we're together.
But he has the ability to leave Purgatory, and so he's like the savior of Purgatory. And
well,
it's
the
his
only
job.
reason he was able to leave Purgatory is because he'd recently died, right? Like,
Well, it's because somebody brought him back to life.
yeah, they resuscitated him, and so everyone who's in Purgatory, all his friends are like, "Oh man, we got to get out of here. We're trying to leave Purgatory, but they literally can't because their bodies are buried and decomposed."
And they think Gordon's like the chosen one because his fat friend just like resuscitated him.
He is the chosen one,
Yeah.
though. There's a lot of, things that don't make sense. Like, if you die in a car crash, your car gets sent with you. So there's like a scene later in the movie where he goes back, but he needs to return to Purgatory to save his wife. And so he loads up a car with a bunch of guns and ammunition because he knows that if he dies, the car will go with him, and it does.
But then, like, where was the kamikaze pilot's plane, dude?
There was like an aircraft carrier down
Yeah, there's
there.
like a battleship. I like to think that like he crashed into that. That's what it is.
You might actually be right.
That's probably if we bought the version with the commentary. You know, you probably would have had
There's
Philip.
probably a lot of insights. I want to know. There's like these weird spires everywhere, and they never explained what those were.
No.
There's
Yeah.
also a lot of people on crosses just hanging everywhere, which is like kind of disturbing.
It's
Yeah.
really weird.
Yeah.
Like, you have to nobly sacrifice yourself to get into purgatory, but then what were all the ragmen then? There's so much.
They're lost souls.
Lost souls.
So is it like noble sacrifice or your soul is lost? Or
It's whatever they want it to be.
okay.
The movie looks visually amazing. Yeah, they like will have the whole ass set and a car and everything in real life where they could just film the car like pulling out of the driveway, but they'll CG the whole scene to like show the car in motion.
Okay, so CGI. There is a ton of it in this movie. The initial release for this film was 1998, and the CG was done by like 2 dudes. So it's honestly really impressive everything they were able
It's
to
hard
do.
to bag on it because I couldn't do it, but it
No.
also does not look good.
No, it does not look good, and it's hilariously unnecessary. Like you mentioned, they build entire sets, and then
And then they CGI over it.
yeah, and sometimes you see the actual set,
And it looks good.
Yeah, and then it like zooms out.
Yeah, and it looks like really good.
It's like some crew probably spent like a long time like working on that rooftop set, and then
Yeah.
they just CGI over it.
The set they spent the most time in was the Despiser's fortress, which was just a bunch of piping from Home Depot, presumably. But
Oh, it's like those little like weird bendy tubes that you put on your rain gutter.
The cars, there are a lot of car driving scenes, and anytime they get into a car, it's CGI for some reason.
It does this like little like zoom in thing, like it's like a video game, and you're about to like go into
That's like another thing they would do
It's like real pioneer of its time.
digital doubles, those are really common in movies now, but it's always like real set, real environment, or like photoreal environment, and then they cut to the CG. But in this movie, it's CG and then cut to real, which is weird.
That scene where
Right.
he's like swimming and he's like CGI.
Yeah.
It's like why'd they need to do that?
I don't know.
Or when his wife like falls off the building and she turns into CGI.
Yeah.
That looked so bad.
Yeah, they couldn't have like had them in front of the green screen going.
Or rotoscoping screens or like books.
His drawings.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
weird.
he's an artist.
On this viewing, it just hit me how unnecessary it all is.
My favorite special effect. So in Purgatory, there is the Despiser, you know, the titular character of the movie. He's like some alien who crash landed in this dimension. He's trying to get out. So he needs coordinates.
like this. I am Despiser. You need to get me out. I can save you. Where is Gordon?
But no, so is the Despiser, and he's got his henchman, the Shadow Man, which is like a spirit that can like jump from body to body.
Yeah.
And the indication that the Shadow Man is in a body is the eyes are black, but they only are able to put the effect on if the eyes are
Eyes
open
open
wide and
wide.
faced
Yeah.
forward. So anytime the person's like head like swaps, the eyes just fade out. Or when he blinks, there's just a split second where they're not black, and it's so-
Yeah, but anyway, let's get back to the story.
Yes.
Where it really shines. So Gordon dies, goes to this world, meets comes in into where they're bringing in a missile, and there's a bunch of those like little rag men
Yeah,
and
that's
one
what
of the
they're called.
shadow men there, and then he's like, oh, you're a self-sacrificer, huh? You guys are annoying. Kick his ass! And then the ragman just like, and then he has like a stick, and he's just like beating him with the stick, and
Because
then
at that point, the ragmen didn't have guns.
yeah, and then
he stood his ground. He's pretty good.
then
Well, it's
you-
'cause
when
he's
when all hope
ex-military.
seems lost, all of a sudden you see like a 1990 like Toyota Corolla or like Ford Focus or something, just the CG just went through the air.
It's the freedom fighters.
They're like, get in. And he gets in. There's like a car chase. Well, in the car chase, he shoots the ragman driving the car, and the shadow man in the car that's chasing him is like, dickhead.
Like, can't believe you died.
Like, can't you believe you died?
Real quick, when you die in purgatory, you just stop existing.
Yeah, you just stop existing. It's like you were never born.
Heaven and hell exist in this universe along with purgatory, but if you die in purgatory, you're just gone.
Yeah, and I guess the rule only applies to humans.
So what about that scene at the end where they're driving on that grassy road? Is that just
I don't know,
wishful thinking?
wishful fan service?
Another thing that's funny about this movie is that there's no other cars in the movie except for like slightly high-end sedans.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. Gordon brought in a truck.
Yeah,
a Jeep.
yeah, like a truck. But it's like there's never like any cool cars. Like they're like, let's get some sweet rides, and it's just like a stock like Pontiac Firebird from the 90s.
I wonder if it either wasn't in the budget or they only had models for those cars available for CG.
No, I think what it is they just had like it was just probably their cars.
You think?
Yeah, like they're just like, oh,
I'm sure.
I got a cool daily driver. They eat a meal around a campfire that's in a
Milk crate.
Yeah, they're just eating some food off of a milk crate. And
Okay, but who are they? Who are our freedom fighters?
Oh,
we talked about
honestly don't know any.
Gordon.
Really?
There's Nimbus. Nimbus is the
he's Carl.
he's Carl.
Yeah, so his name is Carl Nimbus,
Carl
and
Nimbus.
he fought in World War I think it was.
There's a Japanese guy.
It's Fumi Tamasawa. He's an aeroplane flyer.
Yeah, and then there's the woman who's got the fakest Australian accent.
It's really bad,
It
and I
is-
don't remember her name.
And I wish she died earlier in the story.
She's the first one to go by a long shot.
Yeah, it's because they knew they like.
They're like, all right, she's our weakest actress.
Her
We gotta get her out of here. And the last guy is Jake. He
How
was
do you remember his name?
because
Does it say the names?
no,
on
it
here?
doesn't say his name on there. I just remember it's my third viewing. Come on. Anyway, his name is Jake. He sucks, and he dies.
He has the best. He has the funniest line.
He does. He has the worst
He has
lines.
the best line in the whole movie.
What is
Big gun gone.
The big gut.
The big gun. Gone?
God, or they're like, we gotta get in there to this despiser and do him.
we gotta do him.
Gotta do the
Hey,
despiser.
yo,
Hey,
we gotta
hold-
do the.
Hold on.
Oh.
I think we might be having different ideas.
I didn't think it was that kind of movie. I mean,
Let's find the despiser, do him, and get out.
The car shows up and tries to run him through, and he gets sent back.
Yeah,
World.
and to his fat friend, he's like, "Oh, you almost died. Your heart stopped."
Despiser finds out that he's like the only dude who can leave purgatory for some reason.
because he's recently deceased.
Yeah.
His body's still.
Yeah,
The
and they
only person to
resuscitated
ever
him.
Have done that.
So then the despiser and the shadow man are like, "He must be the chosen one because he can leave."
Yeah, so they send his one link to the real world, which is like some homeless dude.
Yeah, some hobo.
But then
who-
also transitions
who wears
into-
like trash bags too.
I thought it was like
Yeah.
a hazmat suit. Well,
No.
he wears a hazmat suit in like visions that he appears in.
Right, but it's trash bags in the real world.
Yeah.
No, he can possess just anybody in the real world.
because then he turned into that guy on the ledge. 'cause
Yeah.
his wife's at her mom's house.
Wait,
'cause
so
she's-
then why do you like worry about getting out? Can't he just possess someone in the real world?
I don't know,
indefinitely?
hey, there's a lot of lore behind it. But yeah, so he possesses someone who pretends to jump off the apartment building. The wife goes out to try and stop him, and he pushes
Yeah.
her off.
And if
The wife gets sent to purgatory.
I can understand why they would like do CG for that building, because like you don't want your actors standing out like an actual building. Even though we saw there was an establishing shot, and it was a real building, they just made a bad CGI version of it.
Yeah.
And had the actors on like the ground level, which makes sense to me. But there are some CG replacements that make no sense. I think the worst offense of this was when that car came out of the garage, right? Do you remember that? Where the car was about to blow up.
Oh, and they blew up the car like practically.
Yeah.
It looked like they did, and then they cover it up with a CGI explosion.
But also, when the car comes out of the garage and a real location, it's all CG.
Yeah, and then it stops, and they have the actual garage and the actual building.
And I don't think the issue was they didn't want actors in moving
They
vehicles.
might have just forgotten to film it.
Maybe. But, like, do you remember at the very beginning when Gordon was driving back home after being fired? Like, he was actually driving a car there and being filmed.
In the car,
That wasn't a green screen. That wasn't CG.
That was so weird. Yeah, there's also a scene we didn't go over this, but his friend's like, "We got to get you to a hospital," and then they takes him to his house and gives him like 4 Tylenols and a beer, and is like, "All right, see you tomorrow, bub."
I mean, that is his friend's character trait. He's just there, fat.
He's always holding like, yeah.
And then he comes in, and he's like, "I'm taking your car and your guns and your grenades. I'm gonna." And he's like, that's the best part is like. And it's honestly something I really appreciated because in a lot of movies you see this thing where they gloss over things like character will come back and they're like, "What's going on?" And they're like, "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." And you're just like, just tell him. In this movie, he just straight up comes in. He's like, "The Despiser from Purgatory kidnapped my wife, and the only way to get her is to kill myself. So you have to be there to revive me after."
And he's like, "No, I'm not doing it." So then he just like drives the car off the.
And he like knocks his friend out, but only long enough so that he can leave, and then the friend falls in
another car. Yeah,
which the friend doesn't. Spoiler alert: the friend doesn't actually revive him. It's just some random hobo.
The friend didn't do it. The friend saw. Well, that's the thing is because the first time he goes to Purgatory, he just crashes into the side, and he's just right there. This time, he just goes straight over the bridge into the water
because he's supposed to follow the flare.
He's back in there with his guns. First thing he does is immediately murks the troll doll.
He takes 3 shots to kill it, and then they complain about being out of ammo for like the rest of the movie. It's like, it would have been nice if you didn't use 3 bullets on the freaking troll doll.
Or they just are out of ammo and that they're on the balcony and they're like, "We're all out." And then all of a sudden when they're crossing, they're shooting across.
They do. They have like 3 bullets left each in their guns after they say they're out. Dude.
Yeah, the plot convenience ammo.
So yeah, they kill the weird spider thing, and then the big guy. I mean, the weird spider thing looked like it was from the video game Spore.
You went way back.
Yeah, it does look like a spore.
Yeah.
The spider thing's at the beginning of the movie.
Yes, but that's where we were in the telling of the story.
No,
I thought we were to him getting back to Purgatory.
Yeah, and he murked the troll doll.
How did you miss everything
I'm the historian here. Let me.
We spent like 20 minutes going further in the movie, and you're like, you're still stuck on that.
We took a long way to get there, and that was my bad.
Yeah. So he shows up. He goes to the lake, takes a nap, sees his wife, who's like astral projecting to him, and she's in a dress that's like 3 cup sizes, like too big. The actress is always like this.
She's very uncomfortable.
You can tell she's just like so uncomfortable and like. She's like, "Oh, don't worry, you will save us. You're the chosen one," kind of thing.
You need to find your friends.
You need to find your friends, and he goes to like save them, and they're just like fighting. The ragmen get guns now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The ragmen have guns, and they're like trying to stop them.
Yeah, and they got like trapped on top of the building, so he like blows up like the cell tower
or
whatever.
With like 4 grenades and some string, like blows up a cell tower.
A bit excessive. I think he could just like cut the rope, honestly. But
well, that's the thing is like he got the grenade. I was like, oh, that makes sense. He's got to blow up like the metal structure.
Yeah.
But no, he puts it on like the ropes holding it up. And it's like, you'd think he in his car because he's got all this like junk in his car. Like you'd think he'd have like a knife or like.
Nope.
At least just
or shoot the ropes. They're probably steel like cables.
That's the only explanation.
Where it's like hooked in.
But yeah, so they build this entire rooftop set, and then completely use CGI for most of it. He rescues his friends by blowing up the supports. The beam falls across, so his friends that are on another rooftop can cross to him, and they all run out of ammo on the roof. Allegedly.
They all cross except for the Australian girl, and then the Shadow Man tries to get her, and so they magically have have ammo again because they have to save her.
But they don't save her, and she falls to her death after getting shot a couple times.
About time.
And there goes the second woman. Well, I guess third woman if you count the mom. There are only 3 women in this film. This movie does not pass the Bechdel test at all, does it?
You're right, it doesn't. Because when she's talking to her mom, it's about
It's all
about Gordon.
You have always hated him, haven't you? Gordon. He's insecurity incarnate, riddled with fear, an emotional car wreck.
Oh no.
Oh no. Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Oh no.
At least this movie actually had women with lions on Voodoo Apocalypse.
Yeah, and then he's like, we need new cars. And they just get some old Pontiacs.
But they go to a car dealership.
Yeah,
And so I'm just left wondering, how did this car dealership get into Purgatory?
Or do they just sell cars in Purgatory usually?
But also, to get things into Purgatory, you need to bring them with you? Is established?
Somebody died so that they could have that car dealership. Somebody brought it for them.
See, now that is the
They
prequel story
sacrifice.
I want to see.
Mm-hmm.
Some used car salesman sacrificed himself.
They begin their assault on the Despiser castle where they
With
find...
the longest CG bridge on Earth.
Oh my gosh.
It also fluctuated in width.
Well, they find out the plan, because the Despiser's evil plan is that...
He's getting all the nukes.
He's
from
been
the real...
stealing nukes from the real world, so he can possess people in the real world, steal nukes from the real world.
But he can't get there himself.
So his powers are kind of... It's in the lore. It's all in the lore.
he's going to blow himself, is what he said.
Is that actually what they
he
said?
said he's going to blow himself there. I was
no.
Hey, yo, let's go do him.
Let's go do him. We got to go do him.
Despiser.
Yeah, so that says he's going to blow a rift in reality with all of the bombs.
Yeah.
They're going to stop him.
Yeah.
I'm just remembering because they get in there and Gordon he confronts the Despiser.
Yeah. Wait. Let's get to that in a sec.
Okay, but
Let's
it's
get
so good.
They're
The ending of this movie is just...
it's
they
the
wrote
best
themselves into a wall, and
piece
they were
de
like...
resistance.
It's so good though.
They've got 2 magic bullets. They've got one they used to kill the Shadow Man. Apparently, there used to be a lot of Shadow Men, and that's what the Freedom Fighters have been doing. They're wiping them out, but... And that's what the beginning scene was. Like I said, they don't explain it till the last 20
It's
minutes.
them killing a Shadow Man.
Yeah.
So they got the small bullet to kill the Shadow Man, and the big gun
Right.
Gone?
to kill
Gone?
the Despiser. And as we've mentioned, it goes away because the Shadow Man rams his car into him at full speed, which makes the car go Carl dies.
Oh yeah, Carl.
He dies in the
not
car
Carl.
crash.
Nimbus.
And then the gun, he's like, get the gun. It's in the car still. And he turns around and the gun just randomly goes off and shoots the bullet into the fire.
Yeah.
Which
And
prompts the cowboy guy to come up and
let's
say,
go.
The big,
Big
gun.
gun.
Gone. So good.
Oh, the delivery on that.
Oh man, I love it. Love this movie.
Yeah.
They make it to the Despiser's throne room,
Yeah.
where cowboy guy gets immediately ripped in half.
And then we get some lore, but
Right, they find a nuke detonator.
The cowboy guy's like, I'll just detonate it myself, and they're like, no, you'll destroy us all. And then the Despiser shows up and is like, oh, I can't remember.
he's like, I used to travel amongst the stars.
I used to live in a different dimension.
Yeah, so he's interdimensional, lived amongst the stars, and then crashed near Earth, I think is what he was saying.
And then Gordon just randomly starts screaming. He's like, "There's no way out of purgatory.
You're already dead.
You're dead."
There is no way out! Don't you get it? You're dead! Everybody here is dead! There's no going back! This is purgatory!
Then he brings out his wife.
Yeah, and
Who's in a horrible CG cage.
Yeah.
Like, it looks really bad. I have...
She can
there's
just clip through him.
also their water. It doesn't get people wet, and there was kind of an establishing shot for continuity where the cowboy,
cowboy guy
dips his hand in
and
the
he's
water,
like-
pulls
he's like,
out. Huh,
"Strange."
it's dry.
it's because later Gordon gets dropped into the water and comes out, And my theory is that they just didn't want to drench him for the scene. And so
Yeah.
they're just like, we'll just have the water not make him get wet.
The plan is he's going to detonate all the nukes, and it will transport the Despiser to real Earth, and he's going to invade the real Earth.
And there's a detonator that is already counting
counting
down.
down.
So it's already been triggered.
Yeah,
meaning the Despiser has his bombs, and he's getting ready to blow a hole.
Yeah, and they're going to go and, like, disarm it, and then the Despiser comes, and he's like, you don't have enough bombs.
No, Gordon says that.
I know that you don't have enough bombs to escape! If I detonate them now!
Gordon comes in.
Gordon's like, you don't have enough bombs to blow a dimensional rift. And he's like, quick, if we blow it up now, he'll destroy this and he won't have
He
enough.
just immediately switches, and the Despiser's, like, trying to disarm it.
He's like, no, oh, shit.
starts like tearing out all the cables.
Because Gordon knows how many bombs it takes to, like, just...
Yeah, because he was in the Navy once. Which we don't know until we see
The Despiser just
the...
believes him, though.
I was in the Navy. Yeah,
I lived in New York.
It is one of those scenes where they just wrote themselves into a... Because they're like, wait, if he disarms the bomb, then how is he going to get out? And they're like, oh, he needs to blow up the bomb to kill him. They're like, but that will open the dimensional rift. And they're like,
No, it's
what
not
if
enough.
He doesn't have enough.
And so then he blows up the bombs, but it does open up the dimensional rift, and he's able to go back to the real world. The Despiser dies.
This was
There's
all
never-
setting up an illustrious
never a
sequel that
kiss.
never happened.
There's also he never kissed his wife.
There's a scene at the end because he becomes like a famous artist
Yeah.
after
because
it all happens.
he paints scenes from Purgatory.
From Purgatory, even.
But there's a scene where they're at the museum and it looks like she's going in for a scripted kiss, and he turns
away.
A real Sigma male move right there. He's on the grind set. Can't let the
Gordon Sigma
But
male.
the thing that cracks
Sigma
me up
male.
the most about the ending scene in the museum is that all of his paintings, like, they actually look pretty decent, but then they get to the end and he starts looking at a painting all wistfully, and it pans and it's a painting of his 4 friends, and it's the worst like photo.
Yeah, they took it, and then they just like put the like
it was
the
a poster,
watercolor-
posterized filter, yeah,
posterized filter, and it
from
just
Photoshop.
It's like that's the painting that got him famous. It was just like a kamikaze pilot, World War I veteran, cowboy, and Australian chick, and people were like,
That's
the postmodernism in this painting is outstanding.
That's the one.
You're like, the fact they're all holding weapons from different timelines.
Really makes you think.
So you think about
Maybe
the
the
military
only
industrial
thing
complex.
That unites all of us is war.
Revive 'em.
Wait, no. So wait, the bombs didn't. They did not blow an interdimensional rift.
But it was able to get Gordon.
No,
he just
because
got
Gordon
revived
he
at the
was
right moment.
resuscitated, and then he books it to the hospital. Remember, and he's
He's
there.
like, "I gotta get
as, like,
He doesn't
they're-
even book it to the hospital. Once he gets to the hospital, he starts
He's like walking,
you're
like,
right. I think that's the only.
and he comes in, and it's not like an emotional scene where he's like, "Come on," and like kisses her, and she comes back to life or anything. He's just like, "Come on, you can do it," and then she's.
I mean, there's so much more we could have gone over, but that's basically the
is.
plot wrapped up.
There's a lot.
There's a lot of unnecessary. There's a lot of exposition in this movie. Like they'll talk for like 10 minutes.
And it's hard
Back
because
and
we
forth.
were talking through most of it.
Because it's so boring. They'll be like,
I missed the
Gordon, let
entire-
me tell you about when I died. A while back, there was this preacher I met here, and he
Well, he
told
comes
us to
home
pass
from
the
getting
checks
like
next-
fired from his job and starts talking to his wife, and we were just talking that whole time. And I was like, they're having marital problems. I don't know.
Well, she's like, I remember it from the first time, and she was all like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we don't have any money, and I'm gonna go live with my mom." And he's like, "But you can't." He said you could make a whole wiki off of this
We might have to actually.
because the lore is just so intense.
Lore is incredible, but
Lore.
lore. There's so much lore.
There's so much.
Ashton, what are your overall thoughts on the film?
It made me think of like watching cutscenes off of like an old video game, and the music made me think of Halo, because it was just like weird Gregorian chanting all the time, and like these like ambient tracks, like it's like, and then it's like.
It reminds me of the Cisco hold music.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's incredible.
yeah.
In regards to bad movies, this one is one of the better ones in terms of like the story is like coherent enough that like you can actually
And original.
It's
Yeah,
creative
It's creative and original.
and
It's-
ambitious.
the parts where this movie suffers the most is from dated CGI, corny dialogue, and bad acting scenes. But it's not really from like story. Like someone could make a semi-decent
right,
just like summer blockbuster that like gets like 43% on Rotten Tomatoes and earns like a couple $1 million and then is never seen again.
right.
No, I think it was better than Voodoo Apocalypse.
Oh, way better than Voodoo Apocalypse.
You can tell they put a lot more effort into it.
This was someone's like passion.
You can tell this is a passion project.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it more fun to watch is because it's so bad. You just you need to watch it at like 2 a.m. and just like with a bunch of friends and you just laugh the whole time because it's like there are a lot of parts that are just ridiculous. Voodoo Apocalypse, there's some parts that just kind of hurt.
Yeah.
Out of 33, Jason.
Out of 33, oh man.
I guess final thoughts. I don't know if you had.
Yeah, I was
everyone
talking about
give
how
your
we
final
found
thoughts.
it. Found this movie for the first time. It was actually Ashton and I. We were spring break Tetons, and we wanted to watch bad movies in the evening, and we found this one on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
I need a better
We watched the
explanation than
trailer.
that. How
We
did you?
watched- It was like some 90s narration kind of style. It was like, in a world kind of thing. And then
Yeah.
I was like, all of a sudden that music kicks in like, and then it's like all this flashy scenes. First starts off with the scene of the car going in. The car's like crashing and stuff, And there's not a whole lot given there, but I remember he's like, "You're dead." We saw that. We're like,
Oh, we gotta watch this.
what? It was like 1 a.m. too, and we're like,
Yeah.
okay, we're not going to bed.
See, because
Did
we
we-
watched it in Alaska and it was also like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And it hit. We watched it at like 5:30. And I was just sitting here, just kind of like, oh boy.
Yeah, you got to watch it at 3 a.m.
Yeah, that's
a
when it's at
movie
its peak.
It's at its
Okay.
peak, or if you're high.
But I still feel like you didn't answer my question. How did you find it? Like, what did you search?
Yeah,
You just
so
put, like-
we had watched a movie that YouTube recommended to me once called The Trump Prophecy, and so
Yeah.
that got us down a rabbit hole of just low budget films on Amazon Prime.
Right, which we watched Dragonfire.
Yes,
That's-
which we
that's
will
coming up,
watch.
which-
That
yeah,
is
coming
that
soon.
is the August
Oh, I'm so
movie
excited.
that we have on the list. What?
just libertarian.
But yeah, that's how we found Despiser. So I've got memories attached to it. But yeah, good movie. I think it's a good bad movie because I don't think it was made to be a bad movie. This was someone's passion project. There was a lot of heart put into it.
Voodoo Apocalypse is not something I would watch again for a while, but this movie was something I was not like. I was looking forward to seeing it again because I remembered enjoying it thoroughly. So I'd say, out of bad movies, it's a good bad movie. You know?
I think like you could maximum like rewatch it like 3 times.
This is like a great movie for like if you're just like in college and you want to just like hang out with a bunch of friends and just be like, you guys want to watch like one of the dumbest movies of all time,
Yeah.
and like have it be a movie where like people don't leave upset,
Right.
Because like some bad movies just like you watch and you're like this one is the vibe.
There, it is the vibe.
It's
Big gun?
It's indescribable.
The ending, like it just like it ends in the right way too, where you're not like, oh come on, you're just like, all right.
It doesn't end like freaking Voodoo Apocalypse where they're like,
Yeah, they don't sequel bait. I think it's a good movie if you're just it's 1 a.m. with the friends, tired. You're just tired. You put that bad boy on. Go on Prime, play that bad boy.
Yeah, it's free on Prime Video.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
out of 33 for me, I'll go first. And I want to preface that when we do out of 33, 33 is not like a good movie. Like Citizen Kane is not a 33. Citizen Kane is like a 100. 33 is like the bar that's been set for bad movies.
right.
Not that I don't know why I said Citizen Kane. I've never even seen
I
that
haven't
movie.
seen that either
I just,
anyway.
I just know that like film bros are like, dude, like Shawshank Redemption.
yeah.
But yeah, 33 is like the highest a bad movie can go. So that wasn't my thought process when I established that as the scoring system last time, but that's my thought process now.
Okay.
Movies are out of 100. Bad movies can only go to 33 because if you
Okay.
put it higher than that, you're just being biased. For this one, I'd go 24.
Ooh, 24.
24.
Okay. Well,
He's crunching the numbers.
It's 24.
It's 24. I think this is.
You gave Voodoo Apocalypse a 14, right?
I gave it a 15 out
15?
of 33.
Okay.
I think that this is kind of one of the better bad movies you can watch. Because it's not meant to be bad. There's a lot of heart in there. It was honestly ahead of its time in a lot of aspects, and I mean that sincerely. With CGI doubles and set replacement, just bit off more than it can chew. I can't give it a full 33 out of 33 because the dialogue kind of drags. I mean,
this is the kind of thing that like someone could put on their resume to like progress in the film industry.
oh, for sure.
Like, they look at it and be like, yeah,
very
the movie's
impressive.
The movie's cheesy, but they're like, oh, we're impressed with what you managed to do with
Yeah.
this. Like, maybe with a little help, we can help you.
Mm-hmm.
But the dialogue is hard to sit through sometimes, and that can kill a movie. So I'm going to give it a 28 out of 33.
Okay. You hang out with your friends and you all like good bad movies. This is the one to really like pull out of your sleeve because no one's heard of this movie.
If you're on a first date and you want to be like, if you want to like
scare them off,
if you want to establish yourself as like that like guy who's not like the other guys, you know,
Yeah.
like you don't. She's gonna show up
Right.
thinking
You
you're gonna
wanna
watch like
scare her
Love
off.
Actually or something. Like, nah, you put Despiser on, she's gonna be like, there's something about this guy.
They're like- it's a good one because like people you don't we all know those people. They're like, oh, I love to rip on movies. Have you ever seen The Room? Have you ever seen, and they're like making fun of it's like, yeah, everyone's heard of those, but this is the one you're like, Despiser.
This is the one that gets you clout.
Yeah, you just whip it out. You're like,
And it fits in any social circle.
I feel like, Jason, you said the CG, like, the CG is entertaining because it's like kind of almost as so bad it's good because it's that weird kind of uncanny. I agree with Jason, like the dialogue's boring, but the great thing about that is it makes a little intermission where you can...
It makes it... I was about to say that. It makes it easy to talk through.
Yeah.
Because you don't... Like, some movies, you want to talk, but you're, like, afraid to miss dialogue.
Like, that's
This
important.
movie, you don't care if you
Yeah,
miss
because
the
they're going to, like, tell some story about, like, the war they were in or something for 20 minutes, and you're like, whatever.
This one, if
I'd-
something's important happened, you'll know, and you'll be paying attention.
I'd say, out of 33, I'd say this is probably like I want to give it like a 27.
Ooh.
Like I won't,
See, I always start them off every time, and then I just discover that I'm lowballing it.
No, you're good. You're good. I don't know. Me and Jason have been at the like crappy movie game, I think, for a long, long time.
I'm getting indoctrinated.
You're getting
now.
indoctrinated, man. But I feel like it's just like even though it's kind of bad, it's still got charm to it, and a lot of like I didn't like Voodoo Apocalypse a lot because it just felt soulless. But this felt like
It also
felt like it had a soul that was trapped in purgatory.
Voodoo Apocalypse was also like sexist and racist and homophobic,
yeah.
and like it made it funny in like an outrageous sense, as in like, oh my gosh, like that's kind of crazy that they're like saying this kind of stuff in a movie. But like this one is like it's got a good message. It's like,
what? Just gotta kill the Despiser?
no, that like he's willing to die for his wife, like he's willing to
Right.
damn his own soul to save her. So it's like, and it's got like a happy ending, and it doesn't need to. Well, I guess it kind of makes fun of Japanese people,
Just a little bit, yeah.
but not a ton.
He's a quarter Japanese.
He's
guys.
a quarter. I feel better about that now. Before today, I was like, man, he's some random Latino guy to Japanese dude, but it's okay.
He's a quarter Japanese, guys.
Yep. All right, so our aggregate score is 26.3.
3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3.
3.
So yeah, it's a good bad movie. Any other thoughts, guys?
This is a movie that I did not despise.
You know,